Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Mr. Aaron Wolfe. I'm very glad you're joining us this afternoon, Aaron. Aaron's a visiting teacher and musician from the UK. He's very kindly agreed to adjudicate our first inaugural house music competition at CIA. So welcome, Aaron. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm okay, Gavin. How are you?
Have you enjoyed adjudicating the children's performances this term?
I have to say, when you sent through all the performances, I think there was a little over 30. I was in shock about how much talent there was at GEM-CIA. Even all the way down to Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, there's so much talent in the school. And there are lots of performances that since I finished checking over all the performances that I've gone back to listen to and enjoy.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say so. I mean, we had in excess of 150 students taking part across the various key stages, Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, performances, compositions, different instruments. We had some great different styles of music performed as well, which is good to see. Classical, piano, some guitar, recorder, flute, electric guitar, bass guitar. So it's been a really good showcase for our students. And thank you very much for joining us. So we're going to look through some of those shortlisted candidates which you mentioned. And there were, as you say, about 30 students that were shortlisted out of 150 across various categories. And anything you'd like to comment a bit more about the entries just now?
So the entries for me, they were very mixed. As I said before, I was amazed by what Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2, and also Key Stage 3, what the sort of levels that were coming out and the difficulty of the pieces that were being attempted.
Absolutely, yeah.
In terms of technicalities, in terms of the breadth of the pitches that were involved, there's just a lot of talent there and a lot of potential in all of the students.
Absolutely. And I think, as you say, we had a very good uptake, especially at Key Stage 2, a lot of entries for the instrumental section at Key Stage 2, which is very encouraging for us higher up the school when we look towards the Key Stage 3 and then progression towards the GCSE and A-level. So thank you for that. Very kind words again. Right, shall we move on to the categories? Let's have a little look and perhaps we can talk through them. So our first category was the vocal category in Key Stage 1. Any standouts for you there? And I think there were some very good levels of singing for Key Stage 1. We encourage singing right down to Key Stage 1 and foundation level, which is good. And the winner was Nivan. He was very good. Enjoyed that one. Fantastic.
I think Nivan, he had a very confident performance. All of the singers had a very confident performance, but Nivan, I was picking up a lot of different pitches. It was good to hear different pitches, especially from someone in Key Stage 1. Not on one level of singing, but to hear some high notes, some low notes. It was definitely a good mix.
Very good range for somebody of that age. Thank you for that.
Goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye.
Right, let's move on to the next category, which is the Key Stage 1 instrumental category. And we had, again, some lovely performances across piano and drums. Sam Brody's a drummer. Quincy and Aisha both play the piano. And the winner was Aisha. Any comments to make?
For me, this was the hardest, I think it was the hardest category that I had to look over because, as we put it, Sam was highly commended, but also Quincy as well, also in the vocal category. Yep. These three musicians gave me probably the hardest decision out of all the musicians. Each of them showed potential. Sam on the drums was amazing with his coordination between his left and right hands. He kept up with the backing track really well. Billie Jean is not an easy piece to play, but he did it really well. Quincy as well, I think it was Sleeping Beauty. But overall, Aisha came on top there, so well done.
Thank you for that. Yes, I think that's well deserved, Aisha. Well played. And highly commended Sam Brody. Right, our next category, the vocal section for Key Stage 2. And we had a good entry for this. This was whittled down to 4 students for the shortlist. And the winner for Key Stage 2 vocals was Hannah. That was a fabulous performance. I enjoyed that one. Any comments, Aaron, on that?
Starting with Hannah, this was one of these performances that I've gone back to and back to because I enjoyed listening to it. After I made the decision about who would win, I went back and I've enjoyed Hannah's performance since. Now, each of these performances, Feroze, he sung Raise Me Up, Raise You Up.
That's right, you raised me up, yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard it as a solo. So hearing as a solo was definitely different. And the thing with Raise Me Up is it's has a really big pitch range.
Very challenging, yes.
I did hear all the low pitches coming in, and then he was going all the way up to the high pitches. And we discussed earlier about his head and chest voice being involved. And it's to see someone developing that in Key Stage 2. I'm not sure what lessons he has, but it was an amazing effort. Inigo, I've seen since that he's become very popular on YouTube and Facebook. Definitely a charismatic performance, lots of confidence. That was great to see. And quite an unusual song choice. I didn't expect to hear some, across the board, there was some, let's say, dated songs or dated pieces. So to hear somebody of that age singing a song like that, it was a good effort. I'd say with Inigo, it's in your comments, but when you're using a microphone, try not to let it interfere with your performance. I felt that sometimes when you move the microphone away, that it was sometimes a little too long to it coming back to your mouth, so it caught you out a little bit. And Mushkan, it was a great performance. I think with Mushkan, it was a case of developing breathing, but you'll be able to find out more in the comments.
Thank you. That was a very tough category to actually vote for, because there were some superb vocal performances there. So well done to all, and particularly to Hannah, who won that category. Now, Key Stage 2. Wow, this was a very, let's say, very popular category. We had a lot of entries. These are just the highlights. We had to really, we could not separate the shortlist from this group. And this was a wonderful selection of pianists, particularly we had some guitarists there. Great to see. So well done everybody who took part. And the winner for the instrumental category for Key Stage 2 was Madhav, Sunil Kumar. Well done, Madhav.
So yeah, Madhav, it was a great performance. I think I remember it was Deep Purple. There was a lot of technical skills shown. You kept a good tempo all the way throughout. Just going to the highly commended, Alice on the recorder, great effort. I'm from a brass band background, so it's nice to hear instruments from the wind families. So well done for that. Alham, Pulkit, Wayan, great performances. And it's worth mentioning, just because if you've not been mentioned in the highly commended or the winner category, that it's not something to get upset about. It's taking part, it's learning from it, and all of these performances have merit. Ideally, everyone could be highly commended.
Yes, no, I agree. I think just a tremendous level of support across the Key Stage 2 for all the categories. As you say, it's a good experience for you to take part in these competitions. We'll be running this again next year, and I'm sure we'll get a similar kind of response, a really kind of enthusiastic response, and some great musicianship shown from across those students, particularly, you say, Key Stage 2. So well done, and thank you for such a brilliant entry. Let's move on to higher up in the school, into the Key Stage 3. And again, we're having some wonderful musicianship here, some great vocal ability across this Key Stage 3 section. And we had Kathy, Lakshmi, Rima, and Samarth. Again, a very diverse selection of songs. We had some Indian songs, we had some classical songs, some pop music. So again, wonderful to see. And the winner for the vocal category was Lakshmi Sunil Kumar. Well done, Lakshmi. Fabulous. And the highly commended was Rima.
So again, this category, I think it was the vocal categories overall, they were very challenging. Lakshmi is another performance that I've enjoyed, I've gone back to listen to. There's a lot of delicacy within the tone that was being projected that I felt fitted this song perfectly. It felt delicate. It felt vulnerable, and I think Lakshmi's voice, along with the song, the lyrics, fitted perfectly. Rima, between Lakshmi and Rima, it was a very difficult decision. But also the other two shortlisted candidates in this, I think they both played piano, accompanied themselves on piano, which is not an easy task. So well done to both of those. They were great efforts.
No, I agree. I think the standard was excellent. It was really impressive across all those 4 entries that we saw that made the shortlist. Lakshmi has a lovely tone to her voice and is a growing performer, actually. She's showing a lot of confidence in her performing within the CIA community choir at the school and as a soloist. And we've got others in there that are also showing great potential. So thank you for that.
When the sun goes down and the band won't play, I'll always remember us this way.
And we move on to the instrumental category now. This is the shortlist. We had Eleanor McHale, Eric Joy, Isaac Abraham, Sarah Simon, and Venz. Again, a real mixture of instruments. We had a flute, guitar, electric bass guitar, and 2 pianists. And the winner of this category goes to Isaac Abraham. Well done, Isaac. Fantastic. And the highly commended were all the other members of that category because their performances were, I think you'll agree, Aaron, superb.
Yeah, it was hard. It was quite difficult to find many flaws within any of these performances. Isaac played quite a challenging piece and was able to keep up with a backing track, which for me, it put him ahead of the other students. Eleanor, I think, played the flute. It was Hedwig's theme. I've given some notes from the wind side of things as to where I think you can develop. I'd just like to talk about breathing, if that's okay, Gavin. It covers quite a few people. Focusing in on Eleanor and singers, breath control is something that's really important. It's something that you have to learn to do. We can all breathe, but learning to breathe for the wind instruments and the vocal instruments is something completely different. It took me a long time. If my teacher's watching this, he will be like, it took me forever to get you to breathe properly. So don't worry about it. It's something that does take time to develop, but once you begin developing your breathing, it helps with your tone, and it helps with your phrasing. Now, breathing doesn't stop with the wind instruments. I've had a lot of students that have gone for examinations on drums, and I always tell them, take a breath when you sit down, when you start performing, when you're in the exam. Just take a breath, get yourself comfortable. When you're ready, you start in your time. Don't sit down and start playing just because you know the piece and you want it to be over and you want to go and play on Minecraft or whatever you want to do. It's important to take your time, settle yourself down, clear your mind, and then go.
I would agree. No, sound advice. It's that element of performance, isn't it? Being ready to perform when you're ready. Don't feel rushed. Wise words. Thank you for that, Aaron.
Another key thing on that. Another key thing before we move on is enjoy yourself. I think we'll mention this later. We both spoke about this, but enjoying the fact that you're performing. Music is definitely, all of the arts are not a chore. Whether you're dancing, whether you're painting, whether you're singing, playing an instrument, enjoy yourself, smile.
Exactly.
We were speaking earlier about orchestras, and I said that string players, I never see them smile. And then one of my favorite orchestras is the John Wilson Orchestra, who's worked on the MGM productions. All of his players, they're always smiling. They're enjoying themselves. And in turn, that makes the audience happy. The audience is smiling. And at the end of the day, nobody in the audience, whether it's family, friends, examiners, teachers, everybody is there for you, to support you. Nobody wants you to fail. And if you do make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. You'll learn from your mistakes. That's something that I've always felt is key as a performer. Learn from your mistakes. How can I fix that before my next performance?
Great. No, I agree. I think the idea of actually smiling before you start the performance to relax yourself, but also to relax the audience. If you look worried and upset or not at ease, then it won't be a good performance. You need to be relaxed before you begin to perform. So again, great comments there, and a good thing to take forward for those performers. Right, Right, our next category is the vocal category for Key Stage 4, and we had Irish gave a very unique performance. Actually, it was within her performance there was an animation that she produced on the Billie Eilish arrangement, and she was our winner for that category. So well done, Irish.
Yeah, I think something to point out overall is that when I was listening to these performances, I wasn't looking at who was on screen to begin with. I wanted to treat it almost like the Voice, the TV show, just so I could listen to the voice first and then see how the students were interacting later. So to see the animation was pretty good. And we were speaking about this performance earlier. I know that Billy sung this song, but for me, there was a little bit of Billy in there, but there was also a sort of Imogen Heap, hide and seek, and I couldn't work it out, but in the end, I decided on Fleet Foxes. But there's definitely some inspiration in there coming from somewhere. I'd love to know where the inspiration came from, but it was a different tone to Billy, and I love the fact that Irish did not copy Billy. She made the song her own.
Yeah, I would agree. It was very unique, and she has a lovely voice, lovely tone to her voice, Irish. Again, somebody who's been a big supporter of the CIA community choir at the school, and I'm sure we look forward to getting back to the school and developing her singing again. Thank you for that.
Tore my shirt to stop you bleeding, but nothing ever stops you leaving.
Right, moving on. So the instrumental category for Key Stage 4. Again, the standard was impressively high. Both pianists, Lady Payan and John Simon, and the winner of that category was John Simon. Well done, John. A fabulous performance of The Flight of the Bumblebee by Korsakov. Any comments, Aaron?
I'll start with John. Wow, what a piece to submit into a competition. Probably one of the most, or definitely in the top 10 most famous pieces ever written in any genre. But what a challenge. For me, there's a little bit, and this doesn't just apply for John, everyone tends to focus on the beginnings of things. So the start of a phrase, the start of a rehearsal marking. Look more towards the middle and the ends of your phrases, because that tended to be where people slipped up. And I think that's where John, there's a few tiny fluency issues there, but well done for attempting that piece. Lady Pian, sort of a melody of a group of pieces put together. I'm not sure if it was something that was pre-written or if Lady put those together herself, but well done. I particularly enjoyed the canon section. Just a good group of performances there from Lady.
Thank you. Yes, again, great comments. And I was pretty astounded by the quality of the work that's been produced. Again, as we mentioned before, recording yourself at home is very different from performing in front of an audience. Obviously, you've got nerves when you're performing in front of an audience. Perhaps you lose some of that kind of persona when you're not performing in front of an audience. And it's quite tricky to do that, just performing to somebody at home, taking a video on an iPhone. So I think everyone really showed a good level of performance skills in that context. So thank you for that, and well done, John. A great performance for a very challenging piece. Okay, moving to the next category. We have the ensemble section. Now, of course, being in lockdown, it was not particularly difficult, so not particularly easy, I should say, to have this category showcased. But of course, we have many siblings who are in the same family who are able to perform together. And luckily, we had two families particularly that came through. And we had Lakshmi and Madhav Saurkumar and Kathy and Eric Joy, who did some great ensemble work. Really impressed. They've both been performing prior to the competition, sending me videos of their work throughout this time, since March, in fact, which has been great to see. And I think it was a very tough decision, Aaron, for you to make on this one, because it's so closely contested. Both showed great ensemble skills and musicianship. But the winners that we decided, or you decided, for this particular category were Kathy and Eric Joy, well done to you both. Fantastic arrangement of the Dance Monkey track, which has become very popular.
I'd say on that one that the Dance Monkey, to me, it's a very difficult piece for two people to play together. There's a lot of syncopation. It's not a slow piece, but Kathy and Eric, they managed to keep pace with each other. There wasn't too much rushing. There wasn't too much dragging, which definitely put it ahead of the other two siblings. With their choice, for me, it came down to the fact that was it the right piece of repertoire to play? Now, would you like me to talk about that now, or should we talk about that later?
Yeah, why not? Just briefly mention it.
Why now? Repertoire is something that you need to make it personal. Not only in the sense that I need to feel that you're putting emotions into this piece, it needs to be a piece that works for you. So some of the vocalists were picking songs that I could feel that it meant something, that the pitches were working for you, that you didn't pick a piece that the pitches were too high, too low. Now that's something that reflected here in the ensemble pieces was, did this piece suit the tone of the singer? Did it suit the pitches of the singer? This is something that I discussed with Mr. Greenaway in the sense that repertoire is something that you've probably had free choice to pick on your own, so there is the possibility that maybe you didn't have help with it. Obviously, when you go back to school, you're going to have your teachers around you that are going to be able to help you and advise you about where you should be going. We might be able to give you some artists that you might want to listen to take inspiration from, whether that's in how you sing, whether that's the repertoire you take up. But it's definitely something that I felt that a lot of entries could have been enhanced by.
I think it's a fair comment. I think, you say, working remotely, we can give advice as much as we can on repertoire. Obviously, students are led by what they like to listen to and what they like to play, and they may be swayed by something that is not appropriate to their voice, pitch-wise, range-wise, and obviously for the instrumentalists, like the guitarists, the flautists, whatever it may be, the technicality of those pieces may be too challenging. It's always good, I think, to choose something that's you can play really successfully, really musically, without becoming too kind of bogged down by the technical aspects of that piece. So yeah, again, sound advice. Really appreciate that, Aaron. And as you say, when we get back to school, we'll be looking forward to working with the students and giving them that kind of sound advice face to face, choosing appropriate repertoire for performances, for concerts, and for competitions. So great. Right, let's move on to the last couple I think we've got in our different awards, and we have the Composition Award, which went to Samarth Santosh. Fantastic work from Samarth. Samarth's been a very, very keen student this last 2 or 3 months. He's been incredibly productive in Soundtrap, which is an online studio which we've been allowing students to use during the last 3 months. He's been very prolific, producing many pieces. I would suggest in at least 10 pieces in the last 3 months, all on Soundtrap. He's already posting on Instagram a fabulous selection of his own work, original composition work. And it's no surprise that he is our winner for the original composition. So well done, Samarth. Fantastic. And also he's been a huge contributor to the choirs at the school as well. So fabulous work, Samarth, fully deserved. Well done. And let's go on to the next section, which was the Arrangements Awards. That's taking a piece of music and arranging it, again using Soundtrap, and that award goes to Ruth Sikamani. Again, this was an astonishing piece of work that Ruth produced. Her work involved perhaps between 20 and 30 separate tracks, which was sequenced and put together. She also had some live audio on there, which was produced by her friend Lakshmi, who we've obviously heard from before. Lakshmi did a brilliant vocal mashup of about 5 or 6 different songs within the context of that Dance Monkey chord progression. And again, astounding work. And these are Year 8 students. Samarth and Ruth are both Year 8 students. So that is really wonderful to see. So fabulous work in the composing section and arrangement sections to both of those students. Well done. So I think we've come to the end of the adjudications. Aaron, I'd like to thank you so much for all your comments, and we'll be sharing the written comments with all the students in due course. We'll also be sending out certificates to you all who took part, and sharing those with you again via email and via the heads of year. So Aaron, thank you for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was great. Well done to all the students. Like it says on the screen, congratulations to the winners, highly commended, and the shortlisted students. But even to those that weren't shortlisted, well done for having a go. Definitely enter again next year or into any other competitions, concerts. Just keep on going. Don't be afraid.
Absolutely. And that's really, really important to hear that. So keep going, guys. I'm looking forward to speaking to you and seeing you very soon. Thank you, Aaron. And thank you for joining us and presenting the prizes. Thank you.